Hey everybody, this is your author Brian McCumber, and today we're going to go through an artificial intelligence to accelerate the process of creating FinOps dash like this. This is a tagging coverage dashboard to help to set up models like that. And what we're going to do is actually set up connect there. And we're going to be using the AWS cost and usage. So this is a diagram of the cost and usage board. Typically you would set up a connection through Athena, but to quick run the example, we're going to actually use some sample data to run with today. So what we're going to do is actually dive into using ChatGPT, and I want to give you an example of the plugins that I'm using. So this is the paid version. You can also get away with the free version, but I really want to give you some insight into the plugins here. So what we're going to make use of is the AI PDF. So this will actually read the context of a PDF file, and that's what we want to do. We want it to have context of the AWS cost and usage, and it's in PDF format. And then another plugin that I like using is the Vox. Vox will actually read YouTube videos, give you the transcript, so you can take a video like this and get the context of it within seconds. Then you got the Web Pilot. Web Pilot will actually get current context today, and I use this so if it actually needs to get current information as opposed to the limitation of what ChatGPT has, which is it only has access to data up to 2021. Web Pilot will get you current information there. So I love using the plugins, and that's what we're going to use today. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually make use of the cost and usage report. So from the cost and usage report, we got here AWS cost and usage report is a PDF. And what we're going to do is ask ChatGPT to read this PDF. While it's reading, I'm going to take a drink of my AWS coffee. Boom. And right when I'm done with the drink of the coffee, we can see it's churning away. And this is just to make sure that it has understanding of the context of what we're asking it to do. So does it know about what is cost and usage report, have a good understanding? And it says, yes, this guy dives into, and now it's giving information here, really cool stuff. So one is to verify that it has information that it can read, and then now it has context to it. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to ask it the following prompt that I put together here. I'm going to read it out. So we're saying related to the billing data from the AWS curve, I am looking to identify the tagging coverage of resource, and this is the cost center resource. So tags, we want to make sure that we're covered and we can actually apply charges and track where does the billing go to. Cost center is a very important tag. So we want the cost center tag here. And the source table is going to be called AWS billing data. So we're saying the source table is going to be called AWS billing data. Unique identifiers of product SKU. Because when you get AWS billing data, it comes through every hour. So there's multiple SKUs throughout the data. We want ChatGPT to know that the unique identifier is the product SKU. So it says, all right, BMAC, we got you down here. The deep dive into the AWS curve. First step you're going to do is load the data. Step number 1, load the data. Step number 2, create a new column for the tagging status. So it's creating a column in the tagging status. Then it says step number 3, take account of the tagged and untagged resource. Then step number 4 says create a pie chart to be able to see the difference. And step number 5, you can then calculate the tagging. So now you get in the percentage that you can actually dive into. It's actually really cool stuff. So let's go through this step by step live right now. So what we're going to do is step number 1, load the data. So we're going to open a new instance of Power BI Desktop, and we're going to click on Get Data. And what we're going to say is we want a text CSV connect. And what we're going to use, I have sample data from AWS, GCP, Azure, and we're going to use AWS. All right, so you can see that it loaded the data. So we're going to go to the model view here. You can see it's now in that table structure view, and there's a lot of columns here. But one of the things we want to do is we actually want to rename the AWS billing data is what I told you. So now we completed step number 1. Now let's take a look at step 2 here, which is create a new column for tagging status. So we're going to go to the modeling view, click on new column, and we're going to use this DAX formula. So it's a DAX expression, and it gave it to us. I just clicked on copy code, and now let's actually go there, and then we're going to say we're here. We're going to say there's an option that says new column. So we're going to click on new column, and as that loads, new column is actually going to create a section here that's for this DAX expression. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can actually, I'm going to say Control V. And what this is doing is tagging status now equals, if it's blank, it's untagged. And if it's not, then it's tagged. Very simple, very straightforward. So I'm going to click yes, commit. While it's committing, I'm going to take a drink of my AWS coffee. Okay, so it's in there. So now let's take a look at step number 3. So step number 3 is the count of tagged and untagged reads. We're going to take the count of that. So this is creating a measure there, and this is a DAX expression as well. So I'm going to click on copy code, and then we're going to go back to Power BI, and in here there's an option next to new column. To the left is new measure. So we're going to click on new measure. You can see measure. I'm going to say Control V. So the tagging coverage count equals the count of the row AWS billing data. So that's very straightforward. I'm going to say commit. While it's working, I'm going to take a drink of my AWS coffee. Okay, so now that that's complete, let's go to the next step here. Now we are going from step 3 to step number 4. Step 4 is insert a pie chart into the Power BI, drag the tagging status to legend, then drag the tagging coverage count to value. Very straightforward. So let me do that. So we're going to go to visuals here, and I'm going to click on the pie chart. I'm going to make big, and for the legend, I'm going to zoom I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we can see the new column. So in the legend was tagging status. So I'm just going to drag that legend, and then for the values is going to be the tagging cover. Drag that to value. Let's see what it comes up. Okay, so what I'm noticing is that the tagging status column is still showing tagged, even though the column doesn't have a field in the cost. So something's going on there where what should be blank, like the logic, it should be working, but it's not. So we're going to ask ChatGPT to come up with another approach here. So this is live going through. I didn't pre-plan or set this up. We're going through this live together. So I'm going to let Chat know, and I'm going to say, hey, what's up, man? The is blank on that thing did not work. All of them are marked as tagged. Can you give us another approach? In my mind, it's something like, well, maybe it's the length. Take the length of it, because there could be like an empty string. So maybe it's not being considered as blank. Maybe it's something there. So let's take a look at here. It's saying, okay, well, it's creating a revised step 2, and it's using the length approach. So it's saying if length is this, then there. So what we'll do is we'll copy this code and we'll put that in its place. What happens? So what I'm going to do is bring up Power BI, go back to model view, and I'm here in tagging status. Instead of this, like all place with this approach. So if the length of cost center is greater than 0, then it's tagged. And if not, I'm going to click on commit. It's going to apply those changes. And then I'm going to look at the table view just to see what's here. It's going to refresh, and we can see a bunch of untagged down to middle somewhere, just tag. So now this logic is appropriate. We can see going through that there's a bunch of tags and untagged. Pretty good. So now if we go to the visual, and now we can see the updated visual, we can see that the percentage tagged versus untagged now set. Let's see here, 75,000 is tagged. No, 75,000 is untagged. So 82%. So this organization needs help with their tagging coverage. Oh, great stuff. So this is how you put it together. So this is that visual here on putting things together. Let's finish off on the last step. So we completed step 4, and we corrected the measure. There could have been like a space or something where blank didn't work, but now we took the length. So it's a little bit of collaborating with the AI to get things to work here. So now step number 5 is we're going to calculate the tagging coverage percentage. So we're going to use this, and we're basically going to create a measure. So I'm going to copy this DAX expression. I'm going to paste this in here, tagging coverage percentage, and we're going to say commit. Also, now that that's in there, we're then going to go to the next step here. We're actually going to add a card. It said to add a card, and in this card it says now we bring that data over to a tagging coverage percentage. Okay, so this is giving us 100%, which is not accurate. It really should match up with what we see in the pie chart. So it means that DAX expression from ChatGPT is incorrect. So we're going to go back to ChatGPT and let ChatGPT know. We're going to say, hey man, say this did not work. So we're going to say, can you give us another approach? Okay, so here's what it came up with, and it's looking pretty thorough. So it's saying, first, create these new measures. Create a tagged count measure create an untagged measure, then create a total count measure. Then you can then calculate the percentage. So let's go through this rapid fire. So we're gonna say copy code, create a new measure, copy the snippet, go to the model view, and within here, I'm gonna say create a new measure. So I clicked on the new measure button. While it's adding that, I'm gonna copy the next one. Now we got untagged count, and I'm gonna say new measure. While it's doing that, I'm gonna copy the third one with total count. Click on new measure. Now we're gonna generate the total count, and while it's doing that, copy the final one with tagging coverage percentage, which I think we already have. We have that tagging cover, so I'm gonna select that. We don't need to create a new measure. I overwrite what's here. Select all B. This should be the new. Now that it worked on that, let me go to the vision. Boom, 17%. So we could see the 17.4% is actually looking pretty good. So there we have it. We just completed with ChatGPT to help create things. You can see that it wasn't perfect, so that's why, you know, the generative AI is really about having someone, you still need to know your stuff, and then ChatGPT will help accelerate the process. But need to know your stuff while at the same time using AI to help accelerate things. With, like I said, you need to know your stuff, then you use AI to help create it with. I'll say for a third time, you need to know your stuff, and then you have AI help accelerate it with you. And that's how you have it, folks. So if you want to get a copy of this source files and presentations, I'm going to have a link in the show notes so you can actually get a copy of the source files and the PBIX files and everything that you can work with here. And please like and subscribe. If you thought this was cool, be sure to check out the next video, which is going to be really awesome.